This is the Alabama Orthopedic Clinic D1 Training High School Football Preview Show.
Week 11, and we always have the big game, Dan Brennan. Whoa, is there a lot on the line tonight? Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Friday Night Rivals. Hard to believe our last game of the year. 11 weeks ago, we were here kicking off the season, and boy, Daphne and Blount tonight. Winner is guaranteed a playoff spot. We'll have Dan explain all the intricacies of how the tiebreakers shake out. We were all trying to figure that out today, but boy, big one tonight. What a great game. We saw Blount for the first time last week. What a great game we saw Blount and Saraland here on UTV 44.
Yeah, they were an incomplete, long pass down the sideline that looked like it might be the touchdown to give them the lead from winning that game on the road in Saraland against the #1 team in the state in 6A. So, you know, you talk to Lev, you talk to his staff, you even talk to the kids. They've got nothing to hang their head about. And now they don't have time to hang their head because they've got a big opponent tonight.
Yeah, going up against Daphne tonight, and I think we talked about it going into the game. We said this is going to be the biggest test that either Saraland, that both Saraland, #1 in 6A and unbeaten, and Blount coming in that game would see it. And I think both coaches would come away and say, yeah, that's the best team we played this year.
It's going to be interesting because you've got a Daphne team that scored north of 50 last week against a talented St. Paul's team, and you got a Blount team that hangs their hat on defense. Something's got to give.
Yeah, if you were watching that game on Friday, you might have noticed that defensive line for Blount, just how good they are. We're going to talk all about that.
Saraland did.
Yeah, Lev Holly's here, the coach of Blount. Kenny King, the head coach of the Daphne Trojans, here as well. So we'll talk all about that. As we always do, we talk injuries at this time. Dr. Jeffrey Boatwright with us. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome.
Nice to see you as well.
Welcome here. We're going to talk hand injuries tonight a little bit. And as the big NFL fan, there just seems that there is a local quarterback who's been dealing with a hand injury, came back. Drew Brees injury. So is that a common type injury you see?
It's a fairly common hand athletic injury, that's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
So not a lot of us still play football, hit our hands on a helmet that way. So when you see we're just kind of every day, either athletically or just like guys like me and Dan, what do you see a lot of for hand injuries at your office?
Well, certainly the ulnar collateral ligament of the thumb, which was Drew Brees' injury.
The UCL, as we call it, right?
UCL, exactly. And another common fracture that you see in the hand with athletic injuries would be a scaphoid fracture, which is one of the small bones at the base of the thumb and the wrist. Very common as well. All sorts of dislocations of the joints of the fingers and things like that as well.
Also trying to brace yourself from a fall, something like that. You do
certainly.
You do that. So we're getting to a season here where people are going to be starting to think about where they're going to go. A little winter vacation, maybe go do some skiing. I would guess you get some people coming back from skiing destinations around Mardi Gras break and coming into your office and like, Doc, my thumb's out of place in black and blue, right?
Very true. Yes, no question. And that's actually one of the names for that injury that Drew Brees had is skier's thumb, because you grasp the pole, you wipe out, and the pole just pulls your thumb back like that. So gamekeeper's thumb, skier's thumb, same ligament, same type of injury.
Yeah, and you really don't know how important that guy is until you do something to it, right?
It's true. It's the most important ligament for providing stability to the thumb. Without it, you cannot pinch or grasp anything, whether it's a pen or a football or a tennis racket, without the thumb being unstable.
All right, so I got one for you, and it's not on my sheet.
Sure.
But so like I'm a big Twitter guy, so I'm always doing this, and then like at night I'll be like, dang it, my right there, that joint right there, it hurts, and it's like. And I know why it hurts.
Yeah.
I know exactly how I could prevent the injury. But I mean, do you see phone-based things in your office?
We do, and we're seeing more and more of it. There was an article in the paper a couple weeks ago talking about texting thumb or whatever you want to call it, but overuse, regardless of what it's from, whether it's overuse from an athletic participation or Twitter overuse, it can certainly cause pathology.
Yeah, Twitter thumb. Cox's Twitter thumb.
Meanwhile, Dr. Boatwright says, Keep it up, America.
Keep it up. Good for business.
Yeah.
Keeps checking that timeline. It's good for good for business. But it's like moderation. Just moderate the Twitter a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
That's it.
Or
All
use your index finger.
I do that, but then I got tennis elbow, and then it's like a whole different set of things here. So anyway, Doc, great to meet you.
Oh, it was a pleasure.
All right,
Thanks for having me.
Great
thumbs
to
up.
see you.
Thumbs up to
absolutely.
our doctor. All right,
And
we'll
of
come
course,
back.
You know, me and the crew will always come and visit you in the home. you
Well, I
live
won't be
your
able to
life.
drive at that point because I can't grip the steering wheel. Goodness. High school football, Friday Night Rivals, week number 11 tonight. It is a big 6A region matchup. Whoever wins, they're in the playoffs, and then we'll have to sort out what happens to the team that doesn't. We'll find out all about our matchup tonight. We're over in Daphne and Blount here on UTV 44. Kickoff about 25 minutes away. Friday Night Rivals here on UTV 44, Big 6A Region 1 matchup tonight here. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan. We've got Lev Holley, head coach of the Blount Leopards, with us here. And LaMarcus Brown, you heard us talk all about him, quarterback for the Leopards in our game we had last week against Saraland. And Coach, you and Dan and I and LaMarcus were just talking before we went on the air about just like how great that game was, how well your team played, and how much you think being in that game, the way your team played, is going to help you not only in the playoffs, but this week, like just a great learning experience in that game because your team came out and played so dang well on the road.
Man, it was a hard-fought game, but I think, you know, we walked away with a lot of, you know, confidence, a lot of belief in what we were doing, knowing that this time of year is when you want to play your best. And I do feel like we played at the level that we expect to play. I thought intensity was there. I thought the effort was there. The competitiveness. I thought that, you know, as far as dominating in areas that we needed to dominate in the trenches. But, you know, it was a really great high school football game. Kids think they got a lot of experience that we can take moving forward. But, you know, I think we got to put that one behind us and get ready for this.
Yeah, and on both sides. I mean, nothing was given on there. Everything was earned. And like all plays, games, it comes down to a couple big plays. But how much fun is this young man to watch?
Well, he's not fun to defend. He's not fun to watch if you're looking at the film and you're the other team. Talk about the fact that you've got this leadership role. You're only a junior, but at the same time, you've got a lot of juniors and sophomores, underclassmen around you too. Talk about being the quarterback of a team like this.
I just do what I gotta do. I move like on a different level, like all us juniors and all, but I push myself, look at me like I'm a senior, like this is my last year, and I ain't got nothing to use. I play for the seniors that's on my team, try to push them forward. So.
Well, you played like a senior.
No question.
So you could go trick-or-treating as a senior. We'd all believe it.
They'd still give you candy. Like they,
Yeah,
you know, it's when Dan and I are on the field before the games, walking around, and you see players, and we get to see so many great athletes each week. But we saw this young man zipping the ball around before the game, and we were standing just off to the sidelines, and he's one of those guys that immediately, like, you walk by and you turn your head back, you're like, whoa, that's a special young man right there.
He is. Like I said, when he came to us a year or so ago, man, he came in and he inserted himself, you know, and really distanced himself in that quarterback race. And it was never a doubt that he was going to be our guy. So the success that he's having right now, I'm not surprised. But he's put the work in. I mean, I think he's developed from a sophomore to a junior, and I think the senior year is going to be outstanding. But I mean, he's a program guy. First class, high character kid, really great round of school, academically sound, parental support. I mean, so he's one of those guys that has a lot on his shoulder, you know, so I'm very proud of him and, you know, what he does as far as making everybody in this program and the organization better every day.
Yeah, it's no easy task being a quarterback at any level, but and also, you know, the kids know the kids know when a quarterback's your real leader and is your leader, and when he's just kind of going through the motions. I mean, the kids will tell you that very, very quickly. But you also have to embrace that role. Like you gotta love being the quarterback, right?
Yes, sir.
And your teammates love you, respect you for that. Like, but it's a lot of responsibility because I'm sure you've noticed, but Blount football is pretty popular on campus at Blount. They're really into the Blount Leopard football team.
Yes, sir. I just, like I say, I just do what I gotta do, and keep my head high even when we down. I keep my head high and build them up to stay up.
We do notice that. And sometimes there are things that we don't say on the air, but we notice. We notice body language, Coach. We notice when kids aren't acting like a leader on the field. Sometimes it's pretty simple. You can even see it from the press box. I didn't see any of that in your team last week.
It's culture, and I think it's something that we do. I think we put them in adverse situations every single day to excel because, pressure, diamonds are created under pressure. So we feel like, if they're put in that situation every single day to compete at a high level, defensive-wise, I think we're really good in that competition phase. This time, offense get us, defense get them, but, I'm making my best every day. Said Blount doesn't play Blount, so it's truly brotherhood, and I think these kids love them. They love each other, and it's not one day that they leave the building without the coaches telling them they love them telling each other that they love each other. So, it's family. Forget about me, I love you. That's the culture that we're in every single day. And like I said, really fun group to coach, but can't say enough about Mark. And, I think moving into this week, I think you're going to see the best two quarterbacks in this area. Just hands down.
So when we were, while we were doing your game, we're getting score updates, and all of a sudden we see the big numbers that Daphne had put on at halftime, and then they hang over 50 on St. Paul's, and we're like, whoa. But were you surprised when you saw the big point output that they had on a very good defensive St. Paul's team last week?
Man, they're very explosive. So it's defending them is tough. We have our work cut out, and I think Coach King and those guys and Coach Goldsman have done a really good job of putting them in situations to excel. And we got to go match that, And I think it all starts with Trent, and he's a handful. He can throw it, he can run it, true dual threat guy. But he plays the game with a bunch of poise and a bunch of character, and you want to coach against that. I'm just sitting here, and I was sitting here and I turn around, look, they shake hands, they talking, and that's what it's about because, they compete here, and I tell my guys all the time, the guys you're competing against may be the next guy that give you a job once you get out of college, or you never know who you're going to need in this profession.
No question.
So just excited, to be able to compete against them, and, when Coach King came to the area, we embraced each other. We talk a whole lot, in any kind of way that I can help him, I help him. So the last couple of weeks been really good being able to coach against, Coach Blackman, Coach Kelly, who's a mentor, one of my best friends, Coach King, who's became a great friend of mine. So it's exciting, but we definitely got our hands cut because Daphne is really hot.
Yep.
And they are putting up numbers that are crazy. So we got to find a way to counter that.
Got to put out the fire, Coach.
Yeah, we are excited. You know what, Coach King? I know we got to get this break. Coach King and Coach Lev Holly, like a lot of similarities too.
Yep.
And I would say even more personally than professionally in the way they look at kids and deal with kids. Both, I think you two are very, very, very similar. Great to meet you, my friend. Hopefully calling your name a whole bunch for a lot of big plays tonight. Coach King doesn't want to hear that. We'll see you in the last segment. We got a big matchup, 6A Region 1 tonight. Blount and Daphne. We're going to hear about the Daphne Trojans as Coach Lev Holly says they are hot coming in to tonight's matchup, trying to get a playoff berth right here on Friday Night Rivals. D1 Training Center is where we're at here tonight as we get ready for our Friday Night Rivals matchup here on UTV 44. Jim Cox and Dan Brennan, super excited for another 6A Region 1 matchup. We got a bit of a preview last week when we saw Blount and Saraland, and tonight we've got Blount coming over to take on the Daphne Trojans, who, as Coach Lev Holly said, they are hot, winners of 4 in a row. Kenny King, the head coach, Trent Battle, the quarterback, here again with us this week. And boy, just like Coach Holly was saying, you want your team, this is the time of year to be peaking. You've got to feel really good the way your team's playing and coming off a great win last week over St. Paul's.
Absolutely. We're excited how our guys are playing. They've been coming in, working hard Monday through Thursday so we can get an opportunity to be successful on Friday. And our guys come in and work, and we're excited about that.
What was working so well on Friday night? Because this is no lie. Jim will check those scores during the game. And while we had two teams just knocking each other around to get 3 or 4 yards of play, Jim's like, Daphne's got 40. I'm like, what? How did it happen?
The biggest thing is our quarterback, Trent Ballard, did a great job of kind of looking at the coverage that they was giving us and took advantage of it. And again, those guys worked hard. Our thought process was to put as many points on the board as possible. We knew they had a high-power offense, and we knew we was going to have a challenge stopping them. So that was the big thing: put as many points on the board and see if we can stop them on defense.
Yeah, a lot of defensive coaches don't go with that mindset, saying, "All right, we just might have to have a shootout to win this one here tonight." But it had to feel great. Did it just kind of feel like one of those games where it kind of all came together?
Yes, sir. In a way, we felt like on offense we had a good plan. We knew what we were going to get the week before. We had a great week of practice. We executed, and we just went out there and played to the best of our ability.
And it's a talented, talented defense. Other than that, it's not like you were playing a team who's struggling to stop people.
Yeah.
That's a talented defense with a lot of pride over on that side of the ball.
I agree, but one thing that we always know about Daphne, speed on the outside. I mean, it helps a quarterback a whole lot when you're breaking that huddle, or at least lining up and realizing we got him, and then you watch the defense, and then you just pick your poison, basically, right?
Yes, sir. We have so many athletic guys out there that can just absolutely fly. Guys like Malik McClain, Darius Johnson, Travis Crum. We have so much depth at receiver core, it's ridiculous.
So, and you've probably noticed this watching film. May not have picked up on it. Same thing with you, Coach. Blount's pretty big on the defensive line. We noticed that. Pretty strong. Kidding, of course.
Yes,
but
sir.
oh boy, we that just jumped out at us. What do you? How do you look at, and when you see this Blount team, it's probably maybe like not much you've seen so far this season, right?
Yes, sir. We saw a big D-line last week with St. Paul's, but Blount obviously has a great D-line. It's probably one of the better defenses we're going to play all year. They have a guy like Lee Hunter, obviously. He's a great player. We know what we're going to get. And we feel like we've put up a great plan to go up against them. Yeah,
what do you see as coming in? And you've had success against Blount, but boy, like we said, I think Saraland and Spanish Fort each felt like that was the best matchup they'd seen all year, and I'm sure you're kind of feeling the same coming into tonight's game.
Absolutely, man. You're looking at Blount, very talented, speed all over the field. Again, their defensive line is huge. And that's one of the things we have to do is try to find a way to win. Looking at them on offense, of course, quarterback, elusive. He gets out on the end, he can take it. So it's just trying to contain them and do the best of our ability.
I would say one thing kind of away from the X's and O's. You faced some adversity early in the year. You've got to be really proud of the way your team has stayed focused and has strung together this winning streak, and now put yourself in a chance here in Week 11 for a great payday to get into the postseason. Because this, as we always talk about, we're dealing with young men, kids. Boy, you got to be really proud of your team for a lot of things this year.
I'm very proud of our players, our coaching staff, administration, just the community of Daphne, how everybody came together. And again, it was one of those things that we faced some adversity early, and everybody rallied around us, and we put it together. We talked about going forward. We couldn't look at the past. And the biggest thing I wanted to show the team is, everybody make mistakes, but own up to your mistakes and move forward. And I knew that our players would look up and see how I would react to the situation. So I wanted to make sure that I react with class and make sure that everybody know we're going to move forward.
I'm going to give you an easy one now. Final question here of the segment. Is there any way you could find it in your heart to say something nice about this guy?
Man,
because we were just talking about, and not to hijack, but like to be a quarterback at any level, it's just so much different than any other position on the field. And there's a lot of guys who are quarterbacks that have great skill sets or whatever, but to be the whole package takes a really special young man.
Absolutely. He's been working hard. It started in the offseason. Everybody knew that Trent was a dual threat type quarterback, but can run. And the question was, can he deliver the ball? And seeing his work ethic all summer, he just did a great job preparing for the season, so I knew he was going to be successful this year.
Yeah, if you're posed that question somewhere out there in our community, the answer is yes. He can do all of that. And watch the game here kicking off in about 10 minutes, and we'll probably give you confirmation of that.
Yeah, and got to meet your family at the game as well, so we were super excited about this.
All 19 of them.
Yeah, this is the fan club is there, and I also picked up your dad might be a touch superstitious. Just maybe a touch
Yes, sir. It's the baseball.
Everybody's going to sit in the same seat. We're going to go in the same car. We're going to have the same.
Is that how they do it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
All that stuff. So
well, it's working.
we are so excited. It's going to be a great matchup tonight here. Friday night rivals again. 6A Region 1 matchup between Blount and Daphne. We're in Daphne tonight, as Dan said. Kickoff comes up in about 10 minutes. We got silly questions coming up for these two coaches right after this, and we'll get you ready for our last game of the year here on UTV 44. All right, here we go. Close to kicking this one off here tonight. Final game of the regular season. Blount and Daphne, Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Kenny King, Lev Howley, two coaches of Dan, and I just think
with your Gardner Minshew thing going on?
just didn't shave today. Give him a little jump on No Shave November. So Brent in, Brent out for the last time this season. Maybe the last time ever. Could be retired. There's talk of that. So
bring it back.
Here we go. Silly questions. Houma, Louisiana had their 7th annual. I'm not really good at the Cajun words. Ragaroo Festival this weekend, featuring holiday parade, pumpkin lighting, live music, arts, crafts, eating contest, and the annual pardoning of a giant rat from getting cooked in the chili. Nutria chili, Dan Brennan.
Brent out.
Out. Yeah, I'm not big on the rats in my food. Speaking of, raccoons have taken over a library in Arkansas. Now, my dad was born in Arkansas, so I can make the joke that some were actually shocked that there is a library in Arkansas. Can't see that. Raccoons, Dan Brennan. Are you a fan of raccoons?
I am not a fan of raccoons.
Not at all.
They're destructive. I'm
I
not a fan.
once did something
awful.
awful.
We don't want to hear. We don't want to hear about that.
Okay.
Police are investigating a robbery of a Five Guys restaurant in Northeast Philadelphia on Sunday night. Five Guys Burgers, Dan Brennan.
Brent in.
Five Guys
Out.
Burger. No, really?
I'm in.
Ian, oh yeah.
baby.
I try to make a knockoff Five Guys Burger at my house. I love that. Tennessee homeowners now are not required to disclose to buyers if there is paranormal activity in their house or not. Some states you have to actually say if there's like poltergeist going on.
Yeah.
Believing in the paranormal.
I guess so.
No, not really.
Yeah. My wife swears we have a ghost at Southern Napa at the wine store. Swears it's in that old farmhouse. San Jose man had 3 of his 5 snakes returned after they were stolen from his car. Having eaten snakes is either a pet or in your car, Dan Brennan.
No, sir. No, sir.
Out.
Don't do snakes.
Don't do snakes either. Me either. We do big games in 6A Region football tonight. It is Blount and Daphne right here on UTV 44. Friday Night Rivals coming up right after this.